Oh. I walk in rooms I've never seen. Still something in me remembers things. Hands no rhythm, my mind can't trace. Like I've been shaped by another place. There's a fire in me I didn't light. Still it burns through every night. Call it memory, call it truth, but it don't feel new. They don't knock, they just arrive in every breath that keeps me alive. I'm not walking alone. I feel them here in every doubt, in every tear. They left their footsteps in my soul. Now I'm following what I don't know. Every choice. Oh. I walk in rooms I've never seen. Still something in me remembers things. Hands no rhythm, my mind can't trace. Like I've been shaped by another place. There's a fire in me I didn't light. Still it burns through every night. Call it memory, call it truth, but it don't feel new. They don't knock, they just arrive in every breath that keeps me alive. I'm not walking alone. I feel them here in every doubt, in every tear. They left their footsteps in my soul. Why do I carry? Now they echo through me. Cycles spinning like deja vu. Now they echo through living a story I never knew. There's strength in me I never trained. Love in my heart that survived the pain. Every scar got a deeper root. Every truth got a hidden proof. They speak in patterns, repeating time. What was theirs is showing up in mine now. I'm not walking alone. I feel them here in every doubt, in every tear. They left their footsteps in my soul. Now I'm following what I don't know. Every choice got a ghost behind. Every dream ain't fully mine.
Welcome to the Echoes of the Ancestors. But that's the old name. Now the series will be referred to as the Gateway to the Ancestors. We are now in episode number 6. We are entering the grounds of Fort Matanzas, Florida. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. This time, we're not standing in a place where our people were trying to live. We're stepping into what had to be passed through to even get there. We're stepping into Fort Matanzas, and I need you to change how you're listening to this right now. This is not about arrival. It's not a they made it story. This is that, excuse me, space in between. And more than that, this is about what is still here. The land does not feel empty. It feels occupied. These are not just stories. These are not just the people from the past. This is the echo of us. because the ones who moved through here didn't come from here. They came from Georgia, from South Carolina, from plantations, from places where they already knew they couldn't stay. Moving south, through land, through marsh, through water, trying to reach St. Augustine, where there was at least a possibility of something different. To even try to get there, they had to pass through spaces like this, carrying everything with them, not just their bodies, but their fear, their prayers, their thoughts, their knowing, their last bit of strength, all of it moving through this space, all of it. And some of that didn't go anywhere. That's what you're walking into today. This is not just the path they took. This is what was left behind in the middle, where you're not where you started, but you're not safe yet either. That kind of energy stays. So as you listen to this, don't just hear it, feel where you are. Because this is not just about them. This is about us. The parts of us that had to move without knowing, that had to keep going anyway, that are still trying to make sense of what was carried through spaces like this. These are not just ancestors. These are the echoes of us. Ashe.
I tried to tell you. I tried, but it's cool, you know. She listens first, then she speaks. You never know with her. You never know with her. She don't rehearse, she receive. One working cut her can free. Yeah, you never know with her. She quiet, the spirit say go. Then she'll start taking control. You never know with her. She don't explain what she knows. She just delivers the message and goes. She don't clock in, she tapped in. Episode change with the breath she breathing. Some days it's comfort, some days it's mirror, some days it's love, some days it's clearer. She don't perform, she channel. Say less, but her presence is mental. Ego get nervous, mask get tight. Cause true walk every when it into the light. She'll laugh with you, then pause mid-sentence. Say one thing that hits your chest like a sentence. Didn't plan it, didn't write it down. Spirit said now, so now.
Before we go any deeper into the spiritual and intuitive side of this place, I want to ground this for a second so you can really see what this journey looked like. But before even that, let me set the tone for this. Father God, Mother God, all that is in you is in us. We're asking you for protection from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet, from one side to the next, all encompassing. Anything that is not of you, we return it back from whence it came. We thank you for everything that you have done, everything that you are doing, and everything that you're about to do. We want to give special homage and thanks to the ancestors, not only ours that ride with us, but to the ancestors of this place. As we tap in, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you. Ashe. The people moving through areas like Fort Matanzas were not coming from here. They were coming from places like South Carolina and Georgia, from plantations along the coast, rice fields, indigo fields, places where they were already living under control and knew that they could not stay. When word started spreading that there was a possibility of freedom further south in St. Augustine, people started making decisions, not safe decisions, not guaranteed decisions, but necessary ones. That meant leaving at night, moving through forest, through marshland, following waterways, trying to stay unseen. As they moved south, they passed through spaces like this, coastal areas, narrow crossings, places where land and water met, where every step forward meant risk. So, what you're looking at is not just geography. This is a path. This is movement. This is what it looked like to leave one reality and try to reach another one without knowing if you would make it. And when you really, really, really try to reach another one without knowing if it would make it, and when you really take that in, you stop just hearing the story and you start feeling the presence that never left. Once you get there, you can't look at this place the same way anymore. So sit back and allow me to paint the picture for you. If you would like to close your eyes, please do so. If you would like to just watch, you can too. But I would love for you to see, feel, and imagine as I paint this picture for you, because we are on a journey. It's not simply traveling. We are on a journey this evening. What the land is holding, and when you really take that in, you stop just hearing the story and you start feeling the presence that never left. And once you get there, you can't look at this place the same way anymore. When I sit with Fort Matanzas in that way, what comes through is tension, tight, held, like something that had to stay together even when everything around it was uncertain. Part of that makes sense when you understand what this place was. This was a Spanish built fort created to guard southern approach to St. Augustine, watching the water, controlling who could pass through and who could not. This was a place of protection, but also of restriction, where movement was monitored, where crossing was not simple, where every approach had to be calculated. And you can feel that. This land does not feel settled. It feels like movement that never fully got to rest, like footsteps that passed through but never had the chance to slow down, especially when you consider that people moving through this area were not meant to be seen. They were moving through watched waters, controlled spaces, places where one wrong step could change everything. See, feel, and imagine that there's a strong sense of awareness here. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel easy, but be aware. The kind of awareness you have when you know you have to keep going, when stopping is not an option, when every sound matters, every change matters, every decision carries weight. That energy feels like it's still sitting there in a way that makes you pay attention. See, feel, and imagine what also comes through is the feeling of being in between. Not where you started, but not where you're trying to get to either. That space right there, that does something to the spirit. It stretches you. It forces you to trust parts of yourself you may not even know that were there. It calls on your instinct, on knowing, on something deeper than logic. That kind of energy doesn't just disappear. There's also something here connected to restraint, holding yourself together, holding your breath, holding your fear. Because there's no room for it to take over. That kind of control, that discipline, and that internal regulation, that leaves an imprint. What feels strongest is this place does not carry the energy of arrival. It carries the energy of continuation. Keep going. Don't stop. Not yet. You're not there yet. And that message feels like it echoes through the land in a quiet but steady way. For the collective, this may show up as that feeling of being in a space where things are always changing, but not fully clear yet. Where you know you can't go back, but forward doesn't feel secure either. And instead of rushing through that, this place feels like it's asking you to recognize it for what it is. The in-between is not empty. The in-between is where transformation is happening. Sometimes the most important thing you can do in that space is keep going anyway. Ashe.
Sun climb high, we've been low.
Plant that rise, let it grow.
Keep the roads even now.
Water to the shins till the tide come rolling in.
Oh, the tide come rolling in. Oh, that line, keep it straight. Tide gon' tell us when to wait. Bend and plant, bend and plant. Set it deep in that low country sand.
They left the rice fields when the moon turned the water silver, slipping under curtains of moss and into the tide. The river carried them south through cypress and fog, paddles quiet as breath. Georgia's swamps gave way to the wide marsh of Florida, where dawn painted the sky and the tide pulled them onward. Past the walls of Madring, the Lathamas footer for him, traveled to tide delivered them to the city's edge, where dawn burned the water gold. They stepped onto the boards unsure yet unshackled, greeted by faces that knew what freedom cost. Beyond the docks, there was no that walk rails. The road ahead was unknown, but it was theirs to walk. And with every step, the city seemed to open wider, its streets, its people, its promise of a life made by them.
We are going to move through this as one continuous message. But I want you to stay aware of the questions that are being asked because each one builds on the next. Excuse me. The first question was, what did our ancestors have to face while crossing this space? What came through was passion ignited alongside mental conflict. What that reveals is that this was never just a physical journey. Yes. There was movement. Yes. There was risk, but there was also something alive in them that refused to go out. There was a spark, a drive, a knowing that something more had to exist beyond what they were experiencing. But at the same time, they were dealing with internal pressure, doubt, hesitation, decision making, not knowing who to trust, not knowing if moving forward was the right choice. So what they had to face was both the external conditions and the internal battle. They were carrying hope and fear at the same time, and still choosing to move anyway. The next question that was asked of these ancestors here at Fort Matanzas as they passed through. What emotional or spiritual energy is still sitting in these waters? The answer that came through was conflict and defeat. That energy speaks to what did not resolve cleanly, what did not end in victory, what had to be endured, even in the process of moving. This is the residue of pressure, struggle, and moments where things did not go as planned. It reflects what happens when the body keeps going, but the spirit is still processing everything that it has been through. That kind of imprint does not just disappear. It stays in the land, and it can also echo through the bloodline, showing up as guardedness, sensitivity, or the expectation that things may not always work out. Then the question became, what is this place activating in the bloodline right now? And the answer was heartache and loss. This is where the message turns inward, because this place is not just showing history, it is activating feeling. It is bringing up sorrow, separation, and the reality of what had to be left behind in order to keep moving forward. That energy is not just from the past. It is something that still moves through the bloodline. It can show up now as emotional heaviness, as old wounds resurfacing, as moments where you are being asked to acknowledge what you have carried. But this is not just about pain, it's also a catalyst. It is something that can push you forward, something that can help you recognize what needs to be healed so that you can move differently. The next question asked was, what fear had to be overcome in order to continue the journey? The answer that came through was hope. And that is powerful because it shows that the fear was not just about danger. The fear was about believing in something that had not yet been seen. Hope requires faith, and faith requires movement without proof. So, what had to overcome was the hesitation to believe that something better was even possible. They had to trust that inner knowing over what was physically in front of them. That same message carries forward now because many people are being asked to move in their own lives. But the fear is not just failure, the fear is believing that it could actually work. And the final question for this part of the reading was, what truth about the in between is the land trying to reveal? And the answer came through as wisdom and shadow. This ties everything together because the in between is not empty. It is a space of learning, of growth, of awareness. It is where guidance appears, where understanding deepens, where something is being prepared within you. But at the same time, it is also where you are faced with yourself. This is where what has been avoided rises to the surface. This is where emotions intensify, where the truth becomes unavoidable. The in between is where wisdom and shadow meet. It is where you learn, it is where you confront what needs to be faced. So when you look at all of this together, the story becomes very clear. This was a journey where our ancestors had to move while holding both fire and doubt. They had to carry forward through pressure, loss, uncertainty, while still choosing to believe in something beyond what they could not see. But in doing that, they moved through a space that was not just physical, but deeply spiritual. A space that required both learning and confrontation. That same pattern is still present now. for the collective. This is a reminder that being in the in-between is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is happening. It is where you are being shaped, where you are being asked to trust, where you're being asked to face what is within you, and where you are being prepared for what comes next. Sometimes the most important thing you can do in this space is keep going anyway. That is the message. That is the story. That is the answer from them through me to you. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Now, this is where it really gets real. For everything that we just walked through, all of that movement, all of that pressure, all of that in between space, that's not just about them. That's about you too. Some of y'all are listening right now. You in that exact same space, whether you want to admit it or not. Not where you used to be, the version of you that don't even fit no more, but where you're trying to go. It's not fully locked in yet. It's not clear. It's not solid. And that right there got you feeling stuck, like you halfway in, halfway out, trying to figure out your next move without having the full picture. And let's be honest, that's what's bothering you. It's not that you don't know something needs to change. You know that already. It's that you don't want to have that confrontation. So you don't have proof. You don't have something that you can point to and say, yeah, this is it right there. No. So what you do is you pause. You stall. You go back and forth in your own head, overthinking, second guessing, trying to make it make sense before you take that next step. And the whole time, something in you already knew what time it is. And that's the same tension our people were moving through. And some of y'all, let's really talk about it. Y'all are carrying stuff too, not just regular stuff. I'm talking about a real emotional residue, situations that didn't go how you thought they would. People who had to leave behind parts of you, parts of your life that did not come with you to this next version of yourself. And instead of sitting with it, instead of really facing it, you kept pushing, stayed busy, distracted yourself, told yourself you was good. But that doesn't mean it left you. And that don't mean it's still not sitting in your spirit, showing up in how you move, how you think, and how you trust, how you hesitate. So now the question becomes real simple, but it may hit a little deep. What are you being asked to move toward right now that you kept playing with? What are you being asked to trust that you keep talking yourself out of? What part of you already knows what direction you're supposed to go? but you keep waiting for something outside of you to confirm it, because if the land is teaching anything, it fits. It fits. You don't always get the clarity, but it fits. Sometimes you'll get a feeling, that knowing, that pulling your spirit that won't leave you. It won't leave you alone at all. And then you got to decide, am I going to move with this, or am I going to sit here and let fear dress itself up as logic? That's where the real decision is. So if this is hitting you, if something in you is stirring right now, don't brush past it. Don't scroll past that feeling. Don't talk yourself out of it. Pay attention to it, because that might be the exact thing trying to move you out of where you've been stuck and into where you're supposed to be. And just like our ancestors, you might not have all the answers lined up nice and neat, but that don't mean you're not supposed to move. Ashe? All right.
On an 1840 map, Florida narrows to a thread of land, and just south of St. Augustine lies Fort Matanzas, a stone outpost guarding the inlet. Every ripple of that water could mean discovery. Yet, under cover of night, people risked the current, slipping past the guns to reach the Spanish, and a prompter walked through the gate at first light. She walked through the gate at first light, past walls built to keep her people out, now opening to receive them. The Spaniards asked her story, and she gave it, name by...
Now we're coming down to the end of this. So we asked the ancestors of final questions to close this out. And the first one was, what are the ancestors saying about moving forward without certainty? And what came through was firm foundation. And that's real, because what they're saying is, even when things don't feel fully clear, even when you don't have everything lined up in the way that you want it to be, you're still in a position right now where you're building something, whether you realize it or you don't. Every decision, every lesson, everything that you've already been through is helping you lay something solid. And the key here is how you're supposed to respond to what's in front of you. Not letting your current situation define you. Holding on too tight to what you think security is supposed to look like. But understanding that the true stability comes from how you move, how you think, and how you trust yourself. And that balance between the material and the spiritual, knowing when to hold and when to release, when to build and when to flow. That's what creates something that actually lasts. And then the next question was this: what residue from the journey is still carried in the spirit? And the answer that came through was financial and material changes. And that's the energy of loss. Changes. Things not staying the same. Things being removed. Things being rearranged. And that's not always comfortable. But what they're saying is that those changes are not here to break you. They're here to show you what's the real. To remind you that even when things around you change, you still have something within you that doesn't. Something resourceful, grounded, spiritual. And this is the moment where you've been being asked to look at what you've been through and really ask yourself, what did I learn from that? What am I taking with me? What am I leaving behind so I don't repeat the same cycle again? Then we asked, what wisdom is this place offering the collective about transition and movement. And what came through was the heart chakra. And that's powerful because what they're bringing it back to is love, real alignment, compassion, healing, and connection, not just with other people, but with yourself. Because if you're not moving forward without being centered in your heart, without understanding your own emotional space, without learning forgiveness, without learning balance, then you carry distortion into everything that you build next. So the wisdom here is that movement is not just physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual. And if your heart is not right, nothing else will feel right. So take the time to get aligned there because that's what keeps everything else in order. And the last question we ask before closing this out: what needs to be honored here before we move forward? And they gave two energies: the crown chakra and harmony. And that's what saying is first. You already know more than you think you do. That connection to something higher, that awareness, insight, intuition, that's already active, but it needs to be honored, nurtured, and actually sit with it, tap into it. Don't ignore it and don't doubt it, but trust it because that's your connection to the guidance. And then harmony comes in to remind you that your relationships, your connections, the people and situations that are around you, they're all mirrors. They're all showing you something about yourself, teaching you something, reflecting something back to you. So before you move forward, you have to look at those corrections and connections and ask yourself, what am I learning here? What is this showing me? What needs to shift? What needs to stay? What is actually aligned with who I am becoming? So when you take all of this together, right? This closing message is not complicated. It's just real. You are in the space right now where things are changing, where things are being built, and where things are being removed, where your heart is being asked to come into alignment, your awareness is being heightened, and where your connections are reflecting truth back to you. And none of that is random. All of that is of the process. Take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. And that's the answer from them. Ashe? All right. That was a lot. We want to thank the ancestors of this place for coming forward and answering those questions for us to learn, for us to understand, for us to transport ourselves to where you are and where you were in that time frame. So now I want to share a little something with you, and I'm going to leave it here. And then the next time we meet up, we'll be in another place in Florida, baby. We are going to be in Jacksonville. And boy, is that a story to tell. All right. Ashe, deep bow to each and every one of you. Please remain for the presentation. You know I love my visuals, and this will hit it home for you. Be well. Stay safe. Ashe.
and sacred one, I come before you as a child of the root and the wad. Guide me through shadow to the dawn of remembrance. May I walk forward with the courage of all who came before me, and may their light remain in my breath, in my song, in my becoming. Let the memory of their footsteps steady mine. Let the fire they carried illuminate the path yet unknown. Teach my heart to stay open, even when the night is long, and my phone light here and done. May every word I speak carry their light into the world. And when my journey is through, may I find them waiting, arms open, in the dawn.
Thank you.
The root grounds me. The water carries me. Through the gateway, I meet those who walked before. Their breath moves in mine. My hands remember they mend and soothe. In their light, I move forward. As I breathe, they breathe with me. Every step is a promise kept. Every beat, a blessing received. And I walk, whole,
Going in the low country, live oaks stand like elders, roots drinking from deep memory, branches lifting prayers to the wind. They are bridges, earth to sky, past to future. Their moss-draped arms carry the whispers of those who came before. And when night settles, their breath mingles with the stars, reminding us that the stories rooted here are not confined to earth alone. What we hold, we offer together. And in return, the earth gives us morning. A promise carried in light, waiting to be tended again.
Sun climb high, we've been low.
Plant that rise, let it grow.
Keep the roads even now.
Water to the shins till the tide come rolling in.
Oh, the tide come rolling in. Oh, that line, keep it straight. Tide gonna tell us when to wait. Bend and plant, bend and plant. Set it deep in that low country.
They left the rice fields when the moon turned the water silver, slipping under curtains of moss and into the tide. The river carried them south through cypress and fog, paddles quiet as breath. Georgia's swamps gave way to the wide marsh of Florida, where dawn painted the sky and the tide pulled them onward. Past the walls of Medellin, the infamous footer for him, travel to tide delivered them to the city's edge, where dawn burned the water gold. They stepped onto the boards unsure yet unshackled, greeted by faces that knew what freedom cost. Beyond the docks, there was no even that walk rails. The road ahead was unknown, but it was theirs to walk. And with every step, the city seemed to open wider, its streets, its people, its promise of a life made by.
I close my eyes, I can still feel it, the weight in the air. Not loud, not chaotic, but tight, held, like something that had to stay together even when everything around it was uncertain. Here, Fort Matanzas in the 1840s, among people risking everything the chance to begin. But even here, under the watch of the fort, some still found a way. Slipping past rules meant to hold them, carrying only what they could bear, trust fins, remembering in through them. The young way institute rebelling at himself, yet back until our for the sun rose up. What came through was passion ignited beside mental conflict, a fire in them and doubt. The next question, what energy still sits in these waters, brought back conflict and defeat, residue that never resolved. And when we asked what moments that didn't resolve, paths that didn't end cleanly, pressure that didn't just disappear, because this place doesn't just hold movement, it holds what had to be left behind. And that doesn't disappear, it moves through us. The next question was, what fear had to be overcome to continue the journey? Because the fear wasn't just danger. The fear was believing in something that wasn't visible yet. Hope means trusting without proof. And that's what they had to do.
And the final question for this part of the reading was, what truth about the in-between is this land trying to reveal? And the answer came through as wisdom and shadow. Because the in-between is not, this is where what was avoided rises, where truth becomes unavoidable, where you are asked to see clearly and move anyway. So we're here together today's journey across land. This was a journey through the unknown, through the self, through everything that had to be faced in order to keep going.
This is where it really gets real, for real. Because everything we just walked through, all that movement, all that pressure, all that in-between space, That's not just about them. That's about you too. Some of y'all listening right now, you in that exact same space. Maybe it scares you a little, right? Because you used to know exactly who you were, and now you don't quite recognize the person in the mirror. But listen, this part matters. This stretch right here is where you learn to trust. It's not fully locked in yet. It's not clear. It's not solid. And that right there got you feeling stuck, like you halfway in, halfway out, trying to figure out your next move without having the full picture.
So you're saying that there is real emotional residue, situations that didn't go how they thought it would, people they had to leave behind, parts of their life that didn't come with them into this next version of themselves. And instead of sitting with it, instead of really facing it, they kept it pushing, stayed. It colors everything they touch until they finally slow down enough to see it for what it is. You can cover it with accomplishments, with busy, with a smile, but eventually you got to meet it, you got to heal it. That don't mean it left them. That don't mean it's not still sitting in their spirit, showing up in how they move, how they think, how they trust, and how they hesitate.
I walk in rooms I've never seen.
Now we're coming down to the end of this reading, and these are the last messages the ancestors wanted to leave with us for now. The question was, what are the ancestors saying about moving forward without certainty? Even when things are not fully clear, even when you do not have every answer, hold steady in the places that matter, and then let the rest breathe. Let the tide wash what needs to leave, and let it carry you where you are meant to go. The ancestors remind us we are not standing still. Think that what residue from the journey is still carried in the spirit, and the answer was financial and material changes. This is the energy of things being rearranged, things how they can serve for limit, burning, or a mating. They remind us that every ending leaves behind the trace of what it built. The footprints, the shells, the stillness.
The heart chakra. This is love. This is healing. This is compassion. This is the reminder that movement is not only physical, it is emotional, it is spiritual. It is how your heart is holding what you have been through. So there are beautiful spells why the message that came through was crown chakra and harmony. The message that came through was crown chakra and harmony. But why? What needs to be honored here is spiritual knowing, your connection to what is higher, to what speaks without words, your intuition, your awareness. Yakanas, we're powerful and allow our faith in life and love. In every reflection, in every hand you hold, there is guidance.
When all of these messages come together, the closing truth is clear. Build what is solid. Learn from what changed. Heal the heart while you move. Honor your knowing. Pay attention to what your connections are revealing back to you. None of this is random. All of it is part of the journey. And that is the answer from them, through me, to you.
On an 1840 map, Florida narrows to a thread of land, and just south of St. Augustine lies Fort Matanzas, a stone outpost guarding the inlet. Every ripple of that water could mean discovery. Yet, under cover of night, people risked the current, slipping past the guns to reach the Spanish, and a prompter walked through the gate at first light. She walked through the gate at first light, past walls built to keep her people out, now opening to receive them. The Spaniards asked her story, and she gave it, name by...
Thank you for traveling with us today. Until next time, I am your spiritual travel guide, Blended Healing. Rest well, and have a good night. Ashe.
Thank you.
Still something need me, remembers things. Hands no rhythm, my mind can't trace. Like I've been shaped by another place. There's a fire in me I didn't like. Still something need me, remembers things. Hands no rhythm, my mind can't trace. Like I've been shaped by another place. There's a fire in me I didn't light. Still it burns through every night. Call it memory, call it truth, but it don't feel new. They don't knock, they just arrive in every breath that keeps me alive. I'm not